Maybe you were a 90s kid, and if so, this episode might just be for you. You see, in the 80s, action figures reigned supreme, but in the 90s, the world was venturing into a technological renaissance. And so tech toys were all the rage. This week on Rewind Toys, we're going to take a look at some of those 90s tech toys. So where do we start? Well, we start in 1996 with a little toy called Tamagotchi. In 1996, kids were all in a hurry to adopt a new pet, but this pet was unlike any pet they had ever owned. You see, this pet was digital. The Tamagotchi, released by Bandai, and it was this egg-shaped handheld device that had 3 buttons. Created by Akihiro Yokoi and Aki Maita, they first landed in Japan and were originally meant to be worn like a watch before changing to the now famous egg shape. Essentially, it was a kind of game and a digital pet. Think both of those things kind of all mixed into one. You would use the 3 buttons to navigate menus that allowed you to feed and clean your pet. There were also mini games. You had to monitor this thing because that pet, that annoying little digital pet, would need to be fed and kept happy like all the time, or else it might get sick and, well, it would digitally die. Your pet would grow through various stages: egg, baby, child, teen, and adult. Now, the Tamagotchi device was a huge hit. It sold around 40 million units worldwide within its initial release. Now, at first, it was marketed towards teenage girls, but a later version was geared directly to teenage boys. It was called Digital Monster, which eventually would spawn into Digimon. Now, several versions have been released over the years, and there were even a couple of movies. Overall, the franchise was extremely popular, and it's still moving along today. All right, so we're going to jump to 1998, and we're going to delve into the world of AI. Not probably the kind of AI you're thinking. You see, AI in 1998 was a little different than it is today. For example, this little guy, the Sony Aibo, was also known as the Artificial Intelligence Robot, AIBO. You get it. Aibo was a cool idea. It would develop a sort of personality based around how you treated it. It also learned to recognize certain faces and certain voices. Designed and manufactured by Sony, some of the robot pets were capable of responding to over 100 voice commands. Now, I'm betting most of you have seen these, but did any of you actually own one? It's not likely. The first run, the ERS 110, released 5,000 units, which really isn't that many. There were 3,000 in Japan and only 2,000 in the United States, and they weren't very cheap. I mean, they would cost you around $2,500, and that was back in 98. These things were cool, though. They reacted to being pet, they learned to navigate their environment, they played with toys, and what's more is they didn't poop, which is more than I can say for my animals right now. They're actually still making these guys. There are new generations and improvements coming out almost every year, although there was a hiatus for a couple of years. Anyway, if you guys have one of these, the Sony Aibos, let us know in the comments, because that's very cool. Let us know what you think of it overall. All right, we're going to jump back a little into 1992, and this time we're going to be talking about, well, a toy that you all love and that has a really cool story. This is the Talk Boy. In the 1992 film Home Alone 2, Kevin uses a device to record and play back voices. The device let him do things like change the pitch of the voice. It was just a prop, though, a prop John Hughes wanted to see in real life, so he asked Tiger Electronics if they could make one, and they did. Now, originally, though, Mattel was in talks regarding toy licensing for the movie, but that licensing fell through, and so they quickly reached out to Tiger. They needed a recording device. They also needed a kind of spray goo. You might recall Monster Sap, another highly collectible toy. Anyway, so Tiger gets to work, and they develop this prototype in a matter of weeks. It offered a handle and a retractable microphone, and when kids saw it, they wanted one. Luckily, Tiger was on it. They cut a deal with 20th Century Fox and they released the actual Talkboy toy into stores. Here's the thing. The first Talkboy that hit the shelves isn't the one anybody wants today. I mean, not really. You see, that first one, it didn't even have a voice changer. It was pretty much just a glorified recorder. The original Talkboy sold rather poorly, and it actually ended up getting Tiger into a little bit of hot water because it had a try me option available in stores. Well, people are people, and people aren't always good and wholesome. They were going into stores and recording stuff on it, and then kids were buying it, and they would go home and they would hit play. I'll let you use your imagination. Anyway, it was the Deluxe Talkboy and the Talk Girl that came out the following year that offered the voice changer, and those became a massive hit. Retailing for about $30, they were the holiday craze of 1993. Honestly, like I said, it was just a recording device that recorded to a cassette and could speed up or slow down your voice. Not the most exciting toy in the world, but having Macaulay Culkin use it, that was kind of the genius of it. I mean, I think the movie was just such a hit with kids at the time that owning a prop from the movie, something that looked like what was used in the movie, was just a really cool idea. And I can get on board with that because I love prop stuff today. So I get it. They would release the Talkboy/Talk Girl FX in 95, which were pens that could record a few seconds of sound and offered some sound effects. They would then go on to use the Talkboy name itself and slap that on a bunch of products like walkie-talkies, the effects drummer, even a sort of cool phone with a voice changer. That one was 1997. Hey guys, if you've been coming here, or maybe this is your first time, it doesn't matter. But if this is your first time or you've been checking out some of the videos, do me a favor, hit subscribe. It only takes like 1 second. And if you've got 2 seconds, you can also hit that thumbs up button. Really helps the show out a lot. And we love having you here. We love talking toys with you. So might as well come back and hear all the cool stories behind all your favorite toys. Being that Tiger Electronics was kind of, a big thing in the 90s, we're going to do like a whole episode talking about some of Tiger's really cool handheld devices. We're going to have to stick with Tiger for just a few more minutes, and we're going to talk about the Tiger Dear Diary. This one came out in 1994. Essentially, it was an electronic organizer for the girl on the go. This allowed girls to record their thoughts, store phone numbers and dates, different lists and addresses. It even had a calculator. This was sort of like the Palm Pilot for teens before Palm Pilots were a thing. Honestly, this was kind of a cool device. I kind of want one now. The best part about the Dear Diary is you had to have a password to access the info, so whatever you put in there was for your eyes only. It was powered by button cell batteries and had a small LCD screen to display menus and text. And in 1995, they would amp this bad boy up, giving us the Deluxe Dear Diary, which added some storage, the ability to save messages, and the What a Hunk feature. What exactly is the What a Hunk feature? We're all dying to know. So the What a Hunk feature literally was just a button that would say the phrase, what a hunk. I mean, if I owned it, I would just hit it all the time. What a hunk, You ever notice that in the 90s, when they gave us a new version of the toy, they just stuck the word deluxe on it? Look, I'm being a little bit, dismissive here and making fun a little bit, but they were actually pretty cool. And for 1994, 1995, they were kind of ahead of their time, and I could actually see the appeal. 1994, released by Yes Entertainment, I give you the Yak Back. This sounds gross, but it's really not. The Yak Back was similar to the Talkboy, which we just mentioned a few minutes ago. The Yak Back was a small handheld device that let you record around 6 seconds of sound, then play it back with different effects on it. They were invented by a guy named Ralph Osterhout. Osterhout was an inventor known for things like power pens, Technoknife, and a bunch of other recording device toys. The Yak Back was intended to be a compact, more affordable competitor to the Talkboy. Yak Back featured these say and play buttons, and initial sales were good, prompting Yes to release additional versions. The Yak Back 2 added a lock button to prevent you from accidentally erasing your recording. The Warp R could change the pitch of your voice. Yak Guard offered a motion-triggered feature. The Yak Time was a wristwatch version. The Yak Wacky used light to change the pitch of your voice, which was a weird concept, I think. I don't even understand how that works, but, you know. The Yak Back SFX gave, different sound effects. The Yak Backwards added a yelp button. That's play backwards. See, you get yelp play. That would play the recording backwards. The Yak Back Ball was a football-shaped version for whatever reason. There was the Yak Maniac that added more sound effects, and the Yak Back Power Pens were ink pen versions of the Yak Back. I think that they could take a lot of these options and just add them into one. It's almost like we're purposely going to leave a few things out so we can release a different version, so you guys will have to buy that too. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, Tiger Electronics really had it made in the 90s because this last toy we're going to talk about, well, it belongs to them as well. But this one is huge. In 1998, a Mogwai from the Gremlins had a torrid love affair with a bird, and the result was something insane. Okay, so I made that last part up, but in my defense, take a look at the Furby and tell me you don't see a Mogwai and a bird. So for the few of you who are not around in the 90s and probably have been living under a rock because most people still know what a Furby was an animatronic pet that could interact with you. Created by Dave Hampton and Caleb Chung, the pair spent nearly 2 years designing and building their prototype. Now, eventually, Tiger Electronics caught wind of this, and they were quick to jump on board. When asked where the idea came from, Chung said he wanted a toy that could be a child's first friend, and kids, well, they loved them. But so did adults. Like, adults were kind of nuts for them. Furbies flapped their ears and batted their eyes, and they spoke a language called Furbish. Honestly, when you heard that too long back in the 90s, it made you want to scream. I mean, people were trying to speak it themselves. It was just nuts. They also interacted with one another using infrared, and people thought they learned over time, picking up English words and phrases. But they didn't. That's actually not true. The truth is, they were programmed to begin speaking more English over time. The words and phrases they spoke, they were all pre-programmed. Now, people believed so much that these little creatures heard and learned that they were actually banned from high security offices as employers feared they might be a threat. Welcome to 2026, where our cell phones and that in-home speaker whose name we should not say out loud or else it will trigger them all, and God knows what else is listening to us and probably can shut us down in a second if they think we're gonna Furbies. Am I right? They kept making them. They kept making them. And eventually they added Bluetooth capabilities, which really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. In 1998, they sold just under 2 million Furbies to the public. But in 1999, it was 14 million. And that's at $35 a pop, which was the cost of one of these creatures back in 1999. And if you add that up, 14 million and $35, it's a lot of cash. Anyway, there you guys go. A few 90s tech toys. Drop it in the comments if I missed something you remember that you would like us to talk about, or just, something that you want to mention. And let me know if you owned any of these toys. I appreciate you guys dropping by. Please come back again next week. And until next week, remember, when it comes to these cool, retro, technologically advanced toys of the future, the hunt, still half the fun.